all? How do you manage it at all? Like, you everywhere, you with all the people. You can confirm for people that don't believe Al Heyman exists. You know he actually real. But
Yeah.
how do you, like, I see you, bro, you up late at night, you up early in the morning, you in every part of the world making moves, man. How do you balance it all?
I mean, well, if you got Adrian Broner, Javante Davis, you're gonna be up all night and
Yeah, I know that.
trying to keep them, trying to keep them together. But it's part of the job. When you take the job, what people I try and tell people who do management, when you take that position, you got a fighter's life in your hands. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, if he about to go somewhere, you got to make sure he's secure. If he got, some issues going on with, with his family or his career, you got to go in there and, try to clean it up. You know what I mean? So, when you have a number of fighters, or high-profile fighters, if you slacking, it can really put them in a bad position. They got, court cases, people trying to sue them and all of that. So, you take that on, trying to manage it and trying to, de-escalate it.
Right.
So it's definitely an all-day, round-the-clock. You can get a phone call at any given time. You got to stop you doing it, make sure they're all right.
Because I know you personally put, like, your life on hold for those guys. Like, you make sure that they are taken care of. And like you said, they are superstars. But with the superstardom can come some brattiness, right?
Yeah, oh yeah. When they get to a certain level, they become divas for sure.
Right.
But
And
part of it, it's part of it.
And how do you manage that though? Like, how do you keep their egos? Because I mean, you've been with those guys from the beginning, and you watch them grow to the point where they are. How do you keep them in check? Like, yo, like, who you talking to?
Yeah, you gotta be like that. You gotta stay stern. You gotta stay yourself, and you a lot of times you see people start changing when the guys, when they're not who they used to be. Guys start changing. Okay, I'll do what you want me to do. You guys, we're not doing that. You know what I mean?
Right.
Okay, you got $50 million, but this shit ain't the right thing to do.
Right.
And I'll tell you something, is an adverse effect of that too, because I've seen some people in management, they become even harder on them
when they get money.
You know what I mean? Like, okay, it's one thing to take a position of, I'm not gonna be nice to you, or I'm not gonna kiss your ass.
Right.
It's another thing to be like, I'm gonna be even harder on you, and that can have an adverse effect. Like, you taking the whole different road. So, I keep everything the same. When me and Adrian came up together, been running with Tank since 2013. Almost shit. We pushing 19 years. You know what I mean? So it's been a while, but they know when they wrong. Fighters know it. Anybody know when they wrong. So
right.
Person or not. So but definitely got to point out when they wrong, and and you congratulate when they do the right thing too, because a lot of times they don't get congratulated for doing the right thing behind closed doors. Winning a fight is one thing, but spend time with your kids. You know what I mean? Make sure your mom's straight. Make sure your staff is straight. So that stuff people don't see, that people don't, you did a good job making sure everybody, got paid, or bought your mom a house. That's not important to do, for sure.
And I know you heavy into stocks and investing. So do you guide your guys that way to make sure that they're making the right smart moves?
I got a venture for every single one of them. You know what I mean? The only thing is, and that's a good point, because you can't really get into the investment side until they're ready. And that part can be really frustrating when you're like, yo, I got a house we can get, or, I got a mutual fund you need to get into, or an ETF, or an NFT. There's so many things you can go. If they're not ready, if they want to go buy a chain or want to go buy a car, you just got to be mad. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yes, but you you can't control their money. I in management, I never take that approach.
Right.
I don't, you know, have access to fighters' accounts and on. You know, I don't do all of that. You know, I tell them, you
Right.
know, what they should do, what was best for them. You know what I mean? But they all come around to a point and say, okay, I done
It's
partied.
time.
Yeah, I done bought enough cars. I done partied enough. You know, let's do it. So, you know, I got some for every single one of them. Though, you know, you probably see, coming up soon. I don't really want to, put it out, but,
Right.
they'll be having to put their stuff out soon. The vision they got going on.
So, I mean, how intricate are you or hands-on are you with helping them staff or getting the right staff for themselves? Because you are technically a part of the staff, but do you have any say so on who they should have on their team?
Yeah, man. You try. Unfortunately, boxers mostly come from rough places.
Yeah, absolutely.
And sometimes when a person that you think you know might not be a good person to be around, to be somebody they grew up with, they like, man, this has been my man from 15 20, since I was 7 or 8 years old.
It's
His
hard to combat that.
Yeah, you like, bro, I know that might be your man, but he not the best person for you to be around, or he gonna drag you into something if you keep staying around. And they but to them it's like, when I was broke, I was
They
sitting
were
there.
there.
you
Right.
know I understand where they're coming from, you know what I mean, but you might have to be like, yo, piece him off every here and there, but you can't come in
you can't have the same people. And
yeah.
one of the things I always say, when people fight to get out the hood, the last thing you need them to do is go back to the hood,
Mm-hmm.
because not everybody want to see you win. And the old saying is, they want to see you win until you win, then they wish you fail.
That's true. That's true. It's people who on the flip side of that, it's people who do want to see you win. You know, that's more so, I think, is more of a black thing.
Yeah.
Oh, every culture has its wins and losses, pluses and minuses. I think that's something.
But it's a people thing. It's a jealousy thing. So, because you wish, like, everybody want to see you win until you win, and then they say you winning too much.
Mm-hmm.
And that culture is ingrained in a lot of people from urban environments.
Mm-hmm.
When a guy make it, like, say, Javante or Adrian Broner, you go back, that people want to take more than they can give you. And some people have survivor's remorse.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And that's the hardest part, with you being a manager and you seeing on the other side, because you came on the other side now.
Mm-hmm.
You grew up on the same sidewalk, but you're on the other side. You're the business side now.
Mm-hmm.
How hard or difficult is it for you to have that kind of conversation with somebody that's saying, yo, that's my man. He's been my man forever. Do you
Mm-hmm.
have to wait for them to make the mistake and be like, I told you? Or you
Yeah.
try to prevent it?
Well, it's just the thing. The beautiful thing about life and the way God created us is, you have that feeling.
Energy.
Even if you want your man to stay around, he gonna bring the wrong type of girl around, the wrong type of guy around. He gonna be, running around doing something. He gonna put something in your name. Fighters know. Listen, any
Yeah.
no, I know this is my man. I love him, and I know I'm on the edge of danger with him. But they might think it's not gonna happen to me,
Right.
or or he know better. I heard that. He know better. He know better. You know what I'm saying? But he might not. So sometimes they gotta learn that lesson. You know what I mean? And it's really unfortunate when it happens. But the guys, the entourage can bring you down. The entourage take you to them
Another
entourage,
level.
man. Listen, man. The entourage is a serious thing. Those people you're around every day. And I done had some serious run-ins with people in the entourage, and like, I'm trying to keep this man on the straight path, and you just messing up everything.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's a choice that the fighter ultimately has Hey, I'm not in the business to run people off, but there's definitely
It got sometimes it got to happen. So
have,
imagine that. I could imagine that has to be multiplied when the fighter is that. When you're like, bro, she ain't it.
yeah, the woman is the worst.
Pick when you're looking for a new talent. Can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah, I can hear you now. Your phone breaking up, brother. You look for an upside. Um, yeah, I can hear you now. Can you hear me? Mhm. I can hear you. I can hear you now. Okay, go ahead. Well, you're not gonna find too many. You're not gonna find too many Javante. That's a once every 20, 30 year type of thing.
Right,
Um, but you can find solid fighters. You want to look at the potential. You want to look at their marketability outside the ring, and most of all, can they fight? You know what I mean? If they had those three things, boxing is kind of going a weird way. You know, it's not weird. I understand it, but boxers feel like they have to do a lot of circus shit today to get their Instagram following to a certain amount so they can make money. And what I'm trying to tell fighters is number one, you have to fight, but all the clown stuff, for some people it works
right.
and for people it don't. But in my to, in my in my experience, in my mind, it's not always valid because
Okay,
you have fighters who do all type of stuff outside the ring and and get their followers up and they think it's going to make them more marketable and it doesn't really happen. And I've
right.
had that discussion a couple of times. But boxers today they really feel they have to do a lot of clown, a lot of just anything to get on it. And that's not, to me, that's not true. They always use the Ryan Garcia example. But to me, I don't buy into that.
Right. So, but how did what is the balance though? What is the balance between social media and a fighter getting the shine? For example, I believe if Demetrius Andre had Ryan Garcia's following, everybody would be running to fight him, even if he's a high risk. But
Mm-hmm.
he doesn't have that following, so he can't get a fight. So, how important is the balance between the two?
Well, see, I don't think Demetrius Andre can't get a fight because of his social media, but his social media following. I think Demetrius Andre can't get a fight because he can really fight, and and some fighters, in their mind, the reward isn't worth the risk
I got you.
with Demetrius. Um, Adrian's a good friend of his. I've been around Demetrius a couple of times, but Demetrius Andre has a better following. What was his name? Rocky Fielding, or some of these people that
But they had a country.
yeah, they had a country, but I mean, they're not. I think that most boxing fans know who Demetrius Andre is. I never heard of some of these guys.
Right. Right.
The boxing industry, every day, all day, So I mean, I just think honestly, I just think some top fighters don't want to fight them, and that they use whatever they can, to avoid fight. I think that's the problem with Andre. It's just really really high risk and you know not much of a reward out of it.
Okay, I understand that, but I still kind of, for example, I know Ryan Garcia is the exception to the rule,
Mm-hmm.
but his social media following really had him calling champions out, and and me and you talked, and you was like, yo, that fight between him and Tank was gonna happen, and so if that was
Yeah, it was.
possible, yeah. So if that was going to happen, it was based off of, because Ryan, let's be for real, Ryan didn't offer Gervonta anything. He didn't have a real title, a legitimate title. But what he
No.
offered was his following. Would you agree or
Yeah, I
disagree?
mean, I agree. I agree with that. You know,
you
it's a
hear Gervonta? You see Gervonta? You see
yeah.
it?
Well, this is the thing. This is the thing. Him and Ryan was a good fight. Ryan, that the I guess the fanfare around Ryan is pretty much all that Ryan would really have to offer Tank.
That's what I was saying.
Well, see, I mean, this is the thing that I try to tell people. On the outside, it looks like that's what he has to offer. But if you really look at the intricacies behind Ryan Garcia, what arena has he ever sold out? You understand? You
Well,
understand? You know, so he got 7 million followers. But, you know, you can sit ringside at a fight for $500. You got to pay triple that to sit ringside at a Gervonta Davis fight. You know what I mean? So I mean,
absolutely.
yeah, you know, you from the if you just looking at it from in a nutshell, it does like but yeah, but what real offering does Ryan Garcia? I mean, what real following does Ryan Garcia have? Him, listen, Ryan Garcia, Gervonta Davis, and Canelo all fought in the same arena in succession for me. I think one fought in October, one fought in November, one fought in December. Ryan had the least ticket sales. You know what I mean? So if you really look at the business behind Ryan Garcia, the social media following to the box office, they don't really, you know, it's not a good transfer. They don't really correlate.
Okay, so that makes sense to me. Now, so you answer my question about how does the social media following influence the actual fighter? Because what you're saying is essentially it doesn't translate from based off of what you believe. But now, if
Not.
you got
I mean, I'll tell you something. If you look at Errol Spence, he's the inverse of that. He
gotcha,
has a less following than Ryan, you know, than a lot of, you know, but he sells more tickets, triple tickets.
right,
Than,
right,
that's what I'm trying to say. And I don't even think Earl is at 1 million. Earl one of
right.
the biggest fighters in the country. You know what I mean? And you know, so I listen. I understand what people think about social media, but like I said, look at the ticket. When you look at the box office, where
It doesn't
things
say the
really
same
go.
thing. Right.
It doesn't say some fires are popular. They're just popular, and some are popular outside the ring, but their popularity doesn't carry inside the ring. I think Ryan Garcia has a great following, but I just don't think his following is predominantly boxing fans. I don't think his fans really care to see him fight. They care to just see what he's doing on Instagram, not necessarily what he's doing in the ring.
I would agree with that. I would agree with that.
Yeah.
So now
Yeah.
for this fight, for this Barrios fight,
Mm-hmm.
how did that? Because look, I celebrate greatness, and I celebrate guys challenging themselves to become great. I think it's great for Gervonta to go through divisions because when you look at boxing on the real, the small guys carry boxing. The heavyweights do great, but the smaller guys carry boxing because they challenge themselves to go from division to division, fighting bigger guys.
Mm-hmm.
And what I hate about boxing is the hypocrisy in boxing. When Gervonta says that he's going up another weight class to fight somebody, they say, oh, it's not a real
Mm-hmm.
title. But when he fought another guy who was a 2-time, 3-time world champion, they say he was too small.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? The hypocrisy in boxing is mind numbing to me. You
Yeah.
got to celebrate a guy who's daring themselves to be great. For example, when Mikey Garcia went up to fight Errol Spence,
Yeah.
it was a suicide mission, but you got to celebrate the younger guy going up. So now, recently, I heard Mikey Garcia saying he wanted to fight Gervonta Davis at 140.
Yeah.
But I see Terrence Crawford sitting there at 147, and Mikey is not mentioning his name.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
That doesn't make sense to me. Because Gervonta told me himself he's a 130-pound fighter, but he can fight at 135. Now he's going up to 140. So Mikey was a 140 guy, 135 guy, but he moved to 147. Shouldn't he be contending or trying to fight at 147 again? His last fight was at 147.
Yeah. I don't think Mikey's a 147 pounder. I think what he fought what was that the same
Jesse
guy
Vargas.
fought Jesse Vargas. He did well against Jesse Vargas, but those real 147 pounders, Mikey can't run with those real 47 pounders. You know what I mean?
So
I don't know why he's calling out Gervonta. Maybe
I know why.
I know we know why.
Right.
That's what the money is.
Right.
So I don't know why, but for him to want to fight, what do you want to fight 35? I know he's going to struggle to make 35. He struggled to make 35 against Robert Easter, so I know it's going to be hard for him. But I know he wants to try to get the money, but Tank got to understand he's at that level now where that's what guys are going to start doing. You know what I mean? They call you out, and don't be upset about it. Don't be angry about it. It's part of the game. It's part of the sport. It's part of the business. We're going to stay focused on what we're doing. And
right.
Mike can call out, where.
So for me, I don't like to go look past fighters and look past opponents because I think that's disrespect to the game.
Yeah.
But if I had my wish, after should Gervonta become successful and be in Barrios at 140, are you thinking he stays there or does he come back down to 135? Or what do you think? If you had your pick, where would you like to see him?
I would say one in the 35-30 range. I think that's this is a daring fight. This is a fight that Tank wanted to take because he's tired of seeing small guys. He knock out small, but these guys are his size. Listen, anybody seen Tank will tell you himself. He's short. Tank not no big guy. He just packs a big.
Right.
You know what I mean? So the guys he fighting. Leo was taller than Tank, bigger than Tank. What's the name? They fought at 140. Gamboa. These are none of these guys are smaller than Tank.
Right.
He's got the X factor. He can put him back to do the challenge himself, and to shut up all the naysayers. And that he's fighting small guys, and on and on and on. So I don't think he should stay at one. I'm happier with Tank at his true weight class, 130, 135.
Right. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So we know Gervonta. When we spoke earlier before we got broken up, we said that Adrian Broner, his ideal weight is at 140.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
So Robert Easter is he going to stay at 140?
Yeah, I like Robert Easter at 140. He's had a couple of fights at 140. I like 140. To me, Robert looked great his last fight. We talking to him now about his next fight. He wants to fight for the belts. You know what I mean? We had talked after he watched the fight this weekend. You know what I mean? So he's fully open to a Josh Taylor fight.
So that's nice. I like that.
Yeah, he's definitely open to it. You know what I mean? So
I like that fight for him because I think he's a crafty guy, and you got to with Josh Taylor, you got to be able to fight somebody that can box.
yeah. I think Robert Easter packs the punch to beat him. I think he got the skills to beat him. They both tall, lanky guys.
Yeah.
I think it'd be a great fight. I think it'd be a great
No, I
fight.
really like that fight. So now, there's another name that's been floating around. Regis Progress at 140. He's been calling out Javante. But I'm going to tell you something. I really would like that fight between him and Robert Easter or Adrian Broner. What do you think about that fight?
Yeah, I like that fight. With them too. Like, Tank. Tank. I don't like 140, but Tank is a little bit smaller than
Right,
all of them. So I
right.
think his domain is the 135, 130. But I think Regis with Adrian or Regis with Robert Easter, that's a great fight too. And both of them, I think it's gonna happen between one of them.
It's got to happen. Right.
Yeah,
And I think that's a pay-per-view worthy fight, to be honest.
it's a good fight. It's a it could be Regis keep doing this thing. It could definitely be.
Now
It's not
imagine
too
this.
far.
Did Robert Easter ever headline his own pay-per-view?
No, Robert's never had it. He never had my pay per view before. No.
Well, if he get in there with Regis, that could be his first one.
Yeah, I think Regis got a good fan base. I think it's gonna end up happening. I think it's gonna end up happening.
I like
Sure.
that. So now, but I'm not gonna hold you up, but I'm gonna ask you this: if you can change one thing in boxing, what would that be?
Um, it, it would be nearly impossible. But if I could change one thing, it would just be the fighters first. Um, and this comes in all facets because coming up, working with Heyman, the fighters always come first.
Right.
He's a testament to that. You know what I mean?
Right.
But so much, promoters doing, fighters dirty, and it's not just the promoters. From the promoters to the manager to the coach to the fathers, you see fathers trying to get in the way of the fighters. You see coaches who want to, do the interview before the fighter. You see, coaches want to be acknowledged before.
Right.
You know what I mean? You see managers, in the way of the fighters, and that's one. And then secondly, another one that I'm actually, working on is pensions for fighters that I have pretty much sold up. I have my guys have pensions. Just working on it, abroad, amongst
Wow.
that, when it's all said, when it's all over with. 'Cause, in boxing there is no commission. There's no, like all these other sports, they have that in place. Boxing don't have, you leave out what you came in with, or
Right.
whatever you finish with.
Or what you make with. Right.
While so many fighters die broke, nobody really care. My guys are, will be okay. But it's something I want to see abroad. It's not a hard thing to do. Any fighters interested, you can give me a call. You may set it up.
That is so dope.
I would like.
So all right. I ain't gonna hold you up, but I'm gonna just say this. How realistic would it be to actually employ something like that with, say, a sanctioning body like the WBC or the IBF or IBO? Shouldn't they have a part or a say in that if a fighter fought for their titles with creating a pension for fighters?
Well, it should, but the sanctioning bodies, black hand. You know what I mean? It's like when you fight. The promoter got to pay him. The fighter got to pay him. The fighter that loses got to pay him. The commission from whatever state it is got to pay him.
Got to pay, right?
Get paid all the way around the board.
So, but but shouldn't they give back at some point? Like, they just taking, all you're doing is fighting for their title, but they should be held accountable for something. So many fighters who was world champions leave the sport and don't have a dime, but they had titles, and the title, the sanctioning body just don't offer anything.
Well, you know, the sanctioning bodies, you know, from what I've seen, and I've dealt with all of them. Like I said, I made before, the fighter, you know, they come before. I think they put themselves before the fighter. Um, you know,
Right.
you know, they have a belt, and you know, all the promoters have to call them, you know, to get trying to get the belt, and I think that's just, you know, comes to their mind. It would be good, you know, if they were to do it, but ultimately, you know, boxers have to understand is, you know, this is the lonely sport. You got to take care of yourself and make sure you're okay. You know, every fighter needs to know when they are approaching the fourth quarter in their career. It would be good to start putting stuff away and set stuff up when you're in the second quarter, but you know, the unfortunate thing about boxing is they don't realize.
They're in the fourth quarter.
They don't realize.
The ego is the last thing to go.
The ego is through the roof, you know. But it's not just. I mean, it's basketball play. I mean, you
Yeah,
know.
it's athletes. It's athletes. You dedicate your whole life to something, and for somebody to tell you that it's over,
Yeah,
it's hard to accept that.
yeah. It's hard to accept it. You know, it's hard to realize it. You know, but you know, it's there. You know, the people around you gotta be. You know, and boxers have to understand. Like I always say, I think every boxer should be a promoter. I think every boxer should see what it's like on the other side. You know, when you're trying to convince a guy to take a certain amount of money, and he's asking for way more than what he's really worth, what he can really generate.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Set up a fight. Every fighter should see what it's like to set up a fight. Trying to match a
Right.
fight is one of the hardest things to do. When
Yeah. Yeah.
one guy want too much money, or one guy don't want to fight in his hometown or that hometown, don't want to fight in this country. It's one of the hard, you know, but they should do it. Every fighter should be on the other side of that. You know,
Right.
but yeah, yeah. As far as the pitching thing, fighters have to understand, you know, when they're approaching the end, and you know, make sure you got yourself together, because the last thing you want to do is, you know, it's over and you got here looking crazy.
Looking crazy. Well, listen, bro. I appreciate your time, man. I think every fighter needs a you. They all need a you on their team, and Al Heyman.
Yeah,
But yo, bro, I appreciate you 100%. I know getting a hold of you is kind of like I said, getting Obama, but I got you this time, and I appreciate you, man, all the time. You know, you're my brother 100%, and I will see you in Atlanta.
yeah. I'll be there, man. We'll be there. Hope to see you there, man. It's gonna be a big fight.